This is Denver, Colorado. Serving a population of 2.8 million people, a network of light rail and commuter rail lines runs across this U.S. city, servicing 77 stations across 5 counties. Consisting of 113 miles of track and 1.25 mile long transit mall, the system travels across Denver, with trains radiating from downtown to the suburbs. But how did the system grow from its original stations to the network it is today? My name's Zach, and this is the evolution of the network. The beginning of Denver's transit network began to form in October 1982, with the opening of the initial section of the 16th Street Transit Mall. Running across downtown Denver, the route traveled from Market Street Station to Civic Center Station, stop at each intersection along the route. 12 years later, in October 1994, Denver's first light rail line was launched, traveling south from downtown and intersecting with the transit mall. 14 new stations were serviced along the route, running from 30th and Downing to Interstate 25 and Broadway. An additional station opened on the line in May 1996, with trains beginning to stop at 27th and Welton. The light rail was extended further south in July 2000, adding 5 more stations to Littleton Mineral. The success of the 16th Street Transit Mall was well realized by 2001, with the decision made to extend the mall further north to Wynkoop. The following January, the mall ride bus was extended to Union Station, with dedicated bus lanes running from the end of the transit mall to the station. In April, Denver's second light rail line began service, with a new route meeting the mall ride at Union Station. The C line serviced 4 new stations to the existing stop at 10th and Osage, before following the existing route to Littleton Mineral. With this change, the existing line was also renamed, now being referred to as the D line. Stop changes in downtown were made to the D line in December 2004, with the 2 stations at 14th Street being closed. In their place, a new station was opened nearby at Convention Center Performing Arts, providing more convenient access to the Colorado Convention Center and Denver Performing Arts Complex. A major expansion of the light rail network took place in November 2006, with 4 new light rail lines being introduced and 13 new stations being opened. 2 new lines branched off south from the I-25 Broadway station, servicing 11 new stops to Lincoln. The E line traveled from Lincoln to Union Station, while the F line traveled from Lincoln to 18th Street. The G and H lines branched off from this new route between Southmore and Bellevue, servicing 2 stops west to 9 Mile. The G line followed the E and F line south to Lincoln, while the H line followed the F line to 18th Street. At the same time, the C and D line station name at Oxford was expanded, now also referencing the city of Sheridan. The C and E line station at Pepsi Center Six Flags Elitch Garden was also renamed, reflecting the recent sale of Elitch Gardens. In May 2009, the G line was discontinued, having seen very low ridership since opening 3 years prior. The downtown station at Convention Center Performing Arts was also renamed, now being referred to as Theater District Convention Center. 2 years later, in September 2011, the C and E line station at Invesco Field at Mile High was also renamed, after a change of sponsor for the facility. Near the north end of the D line, the station at 29th and Welton was closed in January 2013, helping to improve operations on this section of the network. 4 months later, in April, a 6th light rail line was introduced, servicing 11 newly constructed stations. The W line followed the C and E lines from Union Station to Aurier West, before branching off west to Jefferson County Government Center Golden Station. On the 16th Street Transit Mall, Market Street Station was closed in May 2014, allowing the downtown property to be redeveloped. Nearby street-level stops were implemented as a result, with mall ride buses continuing to stop at all intersections along the transit mall. Denver's first commuter rail lines launched in 2016, 3 years after the last system expansion. That April, the A line began operating east from Union Station, servicing 7 new stops to Denver Airport. 3 months later, in July, trains began on the B line, running between Union Station and Westminster. In February 2017, light rail service was extended on the H line, with 2 new stations taking the line from 9 Mile to its present terminus at Florida. At the same time, a new line was introduced, with 7 new stops also being opened. Trains on the R line followed the E and F lines from Lincoln to Bellevue, before following the H line to Florida. From there, trains continued north, meeting up with the A line at Peoria. In downtown, trains on the D line were split in January 2018, with the spur to 30th and Downing being renamed to the L Line. L Line trains ran between 30th and Downing and 16th Street, with D Line trains now ending at 18th Street. The G Line was resurrected in April 2019 in the form of a new commuter rail line running west from Union Station. 7 new stops are serviced to Wheat Ridge Road, including 2 new shared stations with the B Line. At the same time, the C, E, and W line station at Sports Authority Field was renamed once again, now being referred to as Bronco Stadium at Mile High. On the opposite end of the system, a 3-stop extension of the E, F, and R lines opened that May, taking the lines to Ridgegate Parkway. At the end of the year, the station at Bronco Stadium was renamed once again, now being referred to as Empower Field at Mile High. In September 2020, Denver's 4th commuter rail line was launched, with service beginning on the N Line. Meeting the other routes at Union Station, the line serviced 6 new stops, ending at Eastlake and 124th. Finally, in early 2021, the C, E, and W line station at Pepsi Center, Elitch Gardens was renamed to Ball Arena Elitch Gardens, reflecting a change in sponsor for the venue. This brings us to the Denver rail map that we know today. That was the evolution of Denver's light rail and commuter rail network, giving us the 12 rail lines and 1 transit mall that we know today. If you haven't already, be sure to watch our evolution of the network videos on other American cities, which you can access by clicking the button in the top right corner. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and comment down below to join in the discussion. My name's Zach, and I'll be vanishing underground until the next one.